Welcome back to another episode of the Mounties Corner. Not only is this the Mounties Corner, ladies and gentlemen, this is a brand new podcast. We're bringing something back with a new name. We're repackaging everything. Welcome to Outside Interference. And I have my number one guest, as always, Nate Dogg. Thanks for joining us, brother. Tell us about how you doing.
Well, I can't say I'm super enthusiastic about this weekend's Money in the Bank, but I'm looking forward to going through the card and giving my opinions why this is why we have outside interference.
I want to know what you guys think about the actual name. I think it didn't take that long to come up with it. Hopefully you guys like it. It's really not up for discussion, though. So if you guys want us to change it, sorry. It's probably not going to happen. So I'm with you, man. Kind of a little bit of a lackluster build for Money in the Bank in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Raw and SmackDown were really not too much to write home about. We saw a segment at the beginning of Raw that we already saw, I think about 2 years ago with Jericho was in the mix and everything else. So I'm really curious to see how this pay-per-view is going to deliver. I hope it does. I think that it has the ability to deliver. The question is whether it will or not. You got a lot of talent. You got a lot of great matches that could possibly, steal the show in one way, shape, or form again. It all really comes down to match placement, trying not to put 2-3 snoozers in a row, really kind of balance it out, bring the crowd up, bring them down a bit, bring them up again. They have the ability to do that, I've noticed, in this particular card. So there's one that I want to kick it off with that is really interesting, and that would be the pre-show match between the Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, the reason why I say this is interesting is I'm actually happy for once to see Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson do something because, man, they've just been treading water for so long. They've had the ability to do stuff with maybe AJ Styles. They never really went down that road 100,000%. Nonetheless, they've always kind of been there week in and week out. They're workhorses, these guys. I appreciate them. I know that they're a solid talent and they were a good signing for WWE. But let's be honest, Nate, do they even have a chance of going over this Sunday?
Well, I would be hard-pressed to believe that with all the money, time, TV time, and investment in the Bludgeon Brothers, that they are going to transition the SmackDown Tag Team titles over to Anderson and Gallows on a pre-show. To me, this is just like a filler. Actually, let me backtrack a little bit. If you go back to the last pay-per-view, if we go back to the back-to-back shows that we had in Montreal, you have to figure out what's the total number of hours now that WWE has had since the Montreal shows. The Montreal shows were amazing. I would even give them the ones the week after that. But with the 5 hours of programming a week, beyond that point, for weeks at a time leading up to this pay-per-view, I'm bitterly disappointed. And you know what? I just feel like WWE is mailing it in and giving us filler. And it's like they don't care. As long as they get your $9.99 a month or your $14.99 a month, they're just going to keep giving us filler. And I'm disappointed, to be honest.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I noticed a couple of things on Raw that I was like, I don't understand, The McIntyre and Ziggler match. You're going up against Breezango. There's really nothing going there other than they're trying to showcase those guys. But it's just I don't know if that was the right spot for them on particularly that, on that Raw card, if you will. I also want to mention, you're going into your third hour of Raw, at least that's from what I remember. And then you have No Way Jose. And, I'm drawing a blank on who his opponent was right now. Hawkins, wasn't it? Yeah. It was Kurt Hawkins. So I'm just like certain things like that. Like I don't want to say you couldn't have flipped them, but there was just very weird spots on this particular Raw that I was just like, it didn't really feel like a go home show, and they had ample time to bring this thing home, not just on this Raw, but man, you had like a month and a half, and that's like a long time these days between pay-per-views to like really like you got to bear down, you got to get into it, and especially with the co-branding and everything now, it's just like, really? So this is what we're getting? Okay, cool, but I don't know, man. Are we asking too much here?
I don't think so. I mean, this is the #1 sports entertainment / wrestling company in the world, with production value through the roof and some of the best talent worldwide. There's absolutely no reason why we should feel as fans that certain shows over a month and a half period have really horrible segments, or I feel like they're mailing it in, and they feel that because they're the big dog in the yard, that they could get away with it. And to be perfectly honest, I don't want to get too sidetracked with it, to be perfectly honest. I could do a 1 hour show on bashing WWE, but I'm still a fan at the end of the day. So I'll try to take the positives of it. And when you think about the Hawkins and the No Way Jose going into the 3rd hour and stuff like that, that doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's all filler. I understand 3 hours of TV is hard to write for, but you know what? You've been doing it for years now. It should be a layup, not a 3-pointer from half court.
Yes, exactly. So with that being said, I think we're both in agreement that Bludgeon Brothers are going over. I was shocked to see them win at WrestleMania. Not because I don't think they deserve it. I just thought it was maybe going to come at a later date. But now that they have it, I mean, you might as well run with it. So Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are nothing more than going to be laid out at Bludgeon Brothers' feet. Not only are they going to lose, they might get destroyed at the end of the match. You might see a little bit of offense here and there. You might see a 10-minute match. I mean, the start time of the pre-show is at 7 o'clock. Am I right?
Yep.
So you got to, overall you have 10 matches. Yes, you have 2 Money in the Bank matches, and you could stretch those out no problem, just based on the star power and the number of athletes in the match. That doesn't mean anything. As far as I'm concerned, I think you could still showcase a bunch of these other matches because you have the time to do it. So I'm expecting nothing more than maybe a 10-minute match at most. Do you think this is a squash, or do you think they're going to let them go for a bit?
I don't see them letting them go for a bit. I feel like because a lot of the handiwork wasn't done prior in terms of building this, I think that they're going to lean heavily on the pre-show to try and, give it that last shot in the arm for us to get to tune in for this pay-per-view. I understand that they have the leeway of going late because it is only on the network. But, yeah, I just get the opinion that, they're going to show up there in Chicago this weekend and lean on the crew on the pre-show to get us heavily invested into wanting to watch the 3-hour pay-per-view.
Fair enough. I heard rumors. I don't know. I don't think it's really happening unless I'm missing something. But I heard rumors that the Asuka and Carmella would be on the pre-show. Is that true? Because I don't see it. I haven't heard of it. But then again, I might have missed it. Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that per se. But when you look at the card and the way stuff is being booked, it's that wouldn't shock me at all to put a women's title on a pre-show because you still have the universal title sitting at home. So, you pick and choose what titles are relevant. It's these Bludgeon Brothers, since we're on the topic of the match, have acquired these titles, but in terms of relevant TV time and a storyline and something like, you know, Gung Ho. You know what? New Day got some great storyline. The Usos got a great storyline and TV time, but I'm just not seeing it in the early parts since WrestleMania and Bludgeon Brothers acquiring these titles.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic when you think about it, because you could do so much with these two guys. I mean, I don't want to say you repackage them, but you kind of did. But let's be honest, it's 2/3 of the Wyatt family all over again, right? But they're more badass now. So awesome. I didn't think Eric Rowan was going to find a home in WWE ever again. Luke Harper, I felt like this was a little bit of a step back for him, because I felt like he was gaining traction, gaining momentum about a year ago, and so they paired him up with Eric Rowan, even though Luke Harper could have been at this point this year a pretty decent face mid-carder, if you ask me, because he was getting some massive reactions. Luke chants, and when he was in the mix with Jinder and Randy and all that, like who's gonna win a battle royal and who's gonna go and face Randy Orton. I thought it was gonna happen. I really did. Like I was thrown for a loop when that did not go down. So for him to kind of go with Eric Rowan, I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. They're doing a really good job. They seem like a good force. They play the characters really well. But I want to see more. Like there's so much ample opportunity with promo work. I know I don't want to make it sound like it's another Bray Wyatt thing, but like I just want to see them do screwed up backstage, or maybe on their own like turf, if you will, something like that. I enjoy seeing that kind of stuff to see like what actual badasses they really are, not just in the ring, but outside of the ring. I want to get a little bit more in depth with their characters and kind of keep that going. So we'll see. Going back to Asuka and Carmella, might as well just transition into that one, because if it's not on the pre-show, excellent. Not sure where they're going to place this one on the card, but does Carmella have an actual chance of retaining here? I feel like she might. And call me crazy, I think Asuka, I don't want to say she's going to lose. I just don't think she's going to win. And what do you think about that?
I think they're going to try and pull what they've been pulling for the last year and a half, where Asuka's going to end up winning, but somehow Carmella ends up retaining. So there's going to be some kind of disqualification, outside interference. Yeah,
That's the first time it was mentioned. I love
it. Something like that's going to go down. It's going to end up a schmoz. I see Carmella retaining, but at the same time, you don't want Asuka losing any face. But I feel like, once again, this is another character that we're talking about, Asuka. Since she's made the transition to SmackDown, it doesn't seem like it's the same character at all. It's just, I don't know. It's very vanilla compared to the other 31 flavors kind of thing.
It's really weird. It's really weird, because I kind of agree with you that it is a little bit of a different spectrum right now with Asuka. I think she's more fit for Raw, and some people are just more fit for specific brands, especially when it comes to Raw and SmackDown, especially when it comes to superstars being on Raw specifically. For some reason, some of them just do not flourish on SmackDown, and this might be a classic example of that. Carmella, I really want to see her continue to do her damn headlocks, sticking out her tongue, just boring the hell out of the crowd, because she can. And that's what a heel is supposed to do. People don't like her. People don't think that she's good enough to be in this women's revolution right now. But, Money in the Bank has always been a pay-per-view to up somebody's career, to really throw them into the next level and to better their actual, whether it be, it's a massive push, really. And, Carmella has done a good job up until this point. I really want to see her do some stuff that really drives the fans nuts, because it seems to be working, because people are getting really mad. Now, I don't know if it's X-Pac heat, but it seems to be flourishing right now. I would kind of run with it a little bit more, especially against Asuka. With Asuka, you're expecting a high impact match, lots of moves, lots of angles, whatever. I think that's going to be a good opportunity for Carmella to try to slow it down, just to piss off everybody. I really want to see that happen in some weird way, just to see people get upset and just to get mad that, well, you got to give it to Asuka. Why? You don't have to right now. You don't. You don't have to give this. You don't have to give this chick a title every second she breathes. You know, she had a long ass run in NXT, one that probably Brock Lesnar might beat, by the way, because he already passed CM Punk. Now, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't really know how this one's going to go down, Nate. I can see it going either way. They could just dethrone Carmella and say, look, this isn't working. People maybe don't care about her or whatever, or maybe it is X-Pac heat, and it's just like, it's just not drawing the kind of attention that they want to this women's title. And maybe they think that Asuka is the one to do that. Hey, I guess we'll see. Who do you got going over in this?
Going back to what you just said, and you're like, oh, I don't know if it's X-Pac heat or whatever. What we need to keep in perspective as wrestling fans is that Carmella is a heel. For me, business-wise, heat is heat. You'd rather be getting a reaction than no reaction. She's doing something right. They got the machine pushing her. It's clear as day. They've invested almost a year with her walking around with a briefcase. Mr. McMahon is not the kind of guy that's just going to turn around and throw in his cards and say, that's it, I'm out. He's going to see this through. He's been in other scenarios where he's pushed the talent all the way through, and in the end, he's won, and we never even saw it coming. So the guy's a mastermind. He's a genius. Let's not take that away from him. And you know what? He knows what he's doing, but we need to ride out the storm. We need to actually give Carmella a chance. Yeah. Personally, for me, and I agree with you, Carmella is money.
Carmella's money. Carmella is retaining. I don't care if you like it or not. That's what should happen. That's what will happen. Just like I said, deal with it. Just like I said at WrestleMania with Charlotte beating Asuka. Deal with it. It's okay. She's going to be fine. Asuka kind of has like the Daniel Bryan syndrome where it's like she could lose a few and nothing is going to change. She'll be all right. It's early in her career. I like the shock factor. And I like the way you said that, Nate. That fact that it doesn't have to be a 1-2-3 victory. I can easily see it now that it could be like some sort of disqualification, a reversal of calls. I could see that happening big time. Big pop. And then all of a sudden, like another referee comes out and says, no, this is what happened, whatever the case is. And she's disqualified, retains the title, and then we move on. It doesn't really necessarily mean that the feud's going to be dead and done, but I'm with you. You know, with all the time they've invested in her on Total Divas, it just sure seems like whoever gets time on Total Divas gets a push, right? We've seen it with Natalya. We've seen it with Naomi. We've seen it with Carmella now. So it makes you wonder, and we'll get to this later, if Luna is in for a really good night this Sunday. But we'll get to that after. So speaking of Carmella, let's go to her ex-flame, the big man, 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. Like, where did that ever come from anyway? Can't teach? Well, no, you can't teach that. The guy grew on himself. What the fuck do you think? Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan. D-Bry won the last one. We kind of saw it coming a mile away, although it was a tough spot to be in for Big Cass, that one. He was just returning from injury. And then you have Daniel Bryan, another guy, you know, first pay-per-view match. Second, right? First was WrestleMania, sorry. Mm-hmm. But first, like, major singles match, if you want, first singles match, let's call it that. Tough spot for either one of them to be in. Where do you go? And they went with Daniel Bryan with the victory. Cool. No problem with it. I think they could have won either way with that one. I wouldn't have even been that mad if Big Cass won that. But now you're in a particular situation where I think Big Cass needs to win this. And if he doesn't, what the hell is they going to do with him now? So I don't want to – I got to think about it a little bit further. I feel like they should give Big Cass this victory. It doesn't have to necessarily be a over-the-top, like, ass whooping, but I really feel like he might have to get that big boot in and maybe get the 3 count when there's some sort of distraction, or maybe like a turnbuckle is removed, something like that, like something that can really make Daniel, okay, well, that's why Daniel Bryan lost, because his head hit the turnbuckle and then he took a big boot to the face. What do you got?
Unfortunately, my pick in this one is Daniel Bryan. But going back to what you're saying, Daniel Bryan can afford to take a loss in this one. And what would be cool to see is that if they're going to put Big Cass over in the match, I want it to be by crook. Like, he's 7 feet. He's a giant. He's this monster. He could totally run over Daniel Bryan. What I would love to see is like feet in the ropes or hook the tights or something dirty to win. Like something that gives him the advantage that he doesn't need. That way he gets the heat that we want Big Cass to have.
Yes. I wouldn't mind that. Especially a big guy like that have to use all kinds of weird ways to sort of get a victory. Oh, it goes back to the drawing heat, getting that reaction, whether you like it or not. You don't have to. We've seen big men dominate this business on an ass-kicking basis for decades. That doesn't mean it's the end-all be-all. They could change it up. They could have him be a weasel tall guy that can get it done with an ass whipping, but can also outsmart you at time to time, kind of like Sagat in Street Fighter. You know what I'm talking about? I think it's a perfect example. The guy's got brains, tall. Hey,
yep,
we could do it. So I don't know, man. I hear what you're saying about D-Bry. I'm gonna have to go with Big Cass on this one. It's a stretch. I don't know how I feel about it. I just feel like, I mean, and if they are gonna go 2-0, then okay, then just let Big Cass move on and let him regain something, because what else you got after that, man? Like, are you really that much of a threat? You know, going down 0-2 to D-Bry, a guy half your size.
Come on, Mountie. Solution is here. If Big Cass doesn't go over in this match, you resalvage his career and repackage him in a tag team with Kalisto. To the top. To the top.
To the top. To the top, like this. And you can't teach that. Next match, friends. Next match. I want to say hi to a couple people here. We had a bunch of people actually just tune in. So Aaron Jolly, what's up, brother? Sports Talk Network, thank you for joining us. Mr. Punk 'em Out, what an honor. Thanks, buddy. Go Big E, indeed. Yeah, we're going to get to that after. Danny the Phantom, he's a loyal subscriber. He loves these live streams, man. What's going on? Amber Lee from WR1 Network. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you all. So, Danny the Phantom says he's got Big Cass to win. I'm just saying. So, if Danny the Phantom says it, that means it's going to happen. Sorry, Nate. It is what it is, all right? Okay.
You know what? Professional wrestling is like a carnival. You come to the town, you suck the money out, and you move on to the next town. Whatever makes WWE filthy effing rich, I'm all for that.
You're all for it, and we're all for the opinions. Whether we like him or not, we're going to talk about him, because that's what we do here on Outside Interference. So I want to talk about this. Speaking of outside interference, can we talk about how brutally, how do I say this? How brutal these segments have been that needed outside interference from fans to say, like, hey, we're just going to destroy these two guys in the ring right now because this booking is terrible. We're just going to bring them to the back. And what I'm talking about is Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. I didn't really love the whole sister thing. The obstacle course was a little decent, I guess. But what is going on, man? Like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, Sami Zayn, maybe he's got like a minor injury going down. Who knows? Or they're just feeding him to Bobby Lashley. It's as simple as that. Who do you got in this, man? Honestly, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Lashley just destroys Sami Zayn.
All kidding aside, and even if you laugh or not, the first thing I thought when I saw the obstacle course was, goddamn, they found a way to use the NXT setups for television from the competition.
Oh, man, it's true. The only thing that's missing is one of them chugging down a Coke. You remember that? You remember that with D-Bry? Man, he had a hard time chugging that Coke. That was awful. But hey, can this go another way? Really, Sami Zayn getting a victory here, even if it's by crook, I don't see it happening, man.
But here's the thing: if Big Cass doesn't get his match by crook, maybe Sami Zayn should get his by crook. Because you know what? Since Lashley has joined the roster, he has done zilch. He's gotten very minimal to no reaction at all. It's like the fans are just like, yeah, he's here, so what? You know what the problem is? The fans are waiting to see Lashley versus Lesnar, but they're going to drag this out as long as possible to see if the fans would be still interested in 6 months, 8 months, whatever. I don't understand why you don't give this match at some point. And it should have been done a hell of a lot sooner. That's just my opinion. I understand there's a hefty price tag to bring Lesnar in, but you know what? They signed him for that money. I didn't. Give me my money's worth. That's it.
It's really one of those things, man. Always asking for money on this show. I love it. It's one of those things where I agree with you. I mean, he made a name for himself in TNA, and he had a name for himself in WWE before. So I just don't love the little things that they're doing with this guy right now, because they're really making it seem like he's just this random mid-carder guy that just I can't put my finger on it, but I can tell you one thing that they messed up on. When we were in Montreal and we were at that Raw, and Roman Reigns was getting an absolute beatdown by Jinder Mahal and The Miz and the Miz Taraj. And then you have Bobby Lashley come out to save him. And it's just like, dude, the Montreal fans were going crazy for the beatdown. They loved the fact that Roman Reigns is getting a beatdown. I really believe that if they would have just switched him and Strowman in that spot, it might have helped Lashley a little bit better, you know? Like, if you had Strowman come out, because let's face it, when Strowman came out, people were like, well, we want to boo you for helping Roman Reigns, but we like you, so yeah, you know? And that's what happened. And then if you have another guy come out being Bobby Lashley, it could have been a little bit better. But you just have this random Bobby Lashley come out to help Roman Reigns. It's such a small, finer detail, but I really feel like, unfortunately, that added to the table setting that you have for Lashley's character, and that the way that people are reacting to him at this point. It's so weird that the small things matter. And maybe it doesn't matter. That's just what I noticed. And I just feel like that they could do more with this guy, and he could be a big-time player. But it is one of those things, Nate. Maybe you're right. Maybe they got to wait the 6-8 months and see if he's actually worth it. Because if he's not worth it, well, then they made the right decision by not going with it in the first place.
Oh, I thought that the whole point of bringing him in was specifically for that match, but I guess time will tell on that. But whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is. One thing that might steal the show, other than the ladder matches, is this next coming match. Seth Rollins versus Elias. Whoa. This has the ability to be an awesome, awesome match. I feel like WWE has done a really good job booking this guy, Elias. I don't know if they're giving him some creative control with what he wants to say to a crowd. It seems really natural. It doesn't seem forced. Everything that he's doing is working. Everything that he's touching is just glowing at this point. The guy can lose, and it doesn't matter. People they're going crazy for him. But he's just one of those characters. You got to keep him heel. None of this. You can't turn him face. You can't do it. It's just working. Although it's getting a massive pop reaction, I think you still got to go with it, because he has the ability to make you turn on him like that. Kind of like Alexa Bliss does sometimes, you know? She gets like the crowd up, and then she just stabs him in the back and then brings him back to reality. Like, hey, don't be cheering me. I'm a heel kind of deal. Elias is really good at that. So you got the Battle of the Beards here. Seth Rollins versus Elias. I'm going to tell you how I think this is going to go down, and it's a long shot, but I'd like to get your thoughts on who you think is going to win it. And are you excited to see this?
Actually, when you look at the entire card in terms, because there's a lot of talent on this card. This one-on-one match, if you give it 20 to 25 minutes on this card, has the potential to steal the entire night. Not the weekend, because we also have NXT, but it has the chance to steal the Sunday night show. Elias has been like a snowball effect, but going backwards. He's been gradually getting better and better and better every week as the product continues. He's the one consistency that I see on Raw since the Jericho departure. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's a great, that is actually a great reference. I was trying to think on who he actually reminds me of on a consistent basis, and you just nailed it. It had to be Chris Jericho. I mean, it makes total sense. Every week, his mic work is just improving and improving. He comes up with new ways of just disrespecting and dissing the crowd. And I'm looking forward to each and every one that he comes up with. His songs are unique and original. He can actually play the guitar. He looks like he fits the mold of a WWE superstar and how he looks. The guy's really got it all. So I think they should take the slow train with him, but always ride it, you know? Always keep riding it, because it's been over, I mean, how long has it been, Nate? Over a year?
Yep.
Yeah. It's been over a year. He's still relevant, and he's never slowed down. But he just keeps, like you said, gradually gets a little bit better and better and better. I remember at one point, you and me weren't really big fans of him, especially you. It's not that I wasn't a big fan of him. I didn't really care for him, or I didn't care about him yet. But you didn't like him.
We didn't understand the drifter gimmick. And when they started pulling away from it and actually let him be Elias, and they stopped calling him Elias Sampson, and they got away from that character and sort of, they didn't repackage, they just retuned it. And what came out of
I see what you did there. I see what you did there with the retune. I see what you did there. Like you retuned the guitar. Go ahead.
But after they did that tuning, that fine tuning, dropped the Samson and let Elias become his character, it was like a good back and forth between creative and the talent to pull this off. And you can see it gradually getting better. It just seems like the creative team is heavily invested in Elias. And I feel that if they were just as heavily invested in other segments of the show, they would be that much better. I understand not letting Kurt Angle announce the pay-per-views or the matches, because that gets confusing at times. That's all I'm saying.
You know, there's times, man, I got to say, where sometimes a gimmick on NXT doesn't work on the big stage. You're kind of seeing it a little bit with Bobby Roode, and I mean, we've seen it over time and extension. Do they work? There's a bunch of them that don't. But sometimes a gimmick doesn't work in NXT, but it does on the main roster. And this seems to be one of those. Although it hasn't been the exact same, you're right, because they kind of got away from, hey, I'm sitting on a corner waiting for a bus, and where's my spare change? They kind of got away from that. You know, we had the stick and the hobo sack of, you know, a pocket full of dreams kind of deal. But now it's like you've brought him to another level, but in a very quiet way. He's not a loud guy. He's not a loud superstar where you're expecting like the world from. But he can constantly give a little bit for you, a little 1 or 2% every single week, and he's just constantly being great. And it's such a rare commodity these days to say that about a superstar, not necessarily based on the superstar's potential, but more so on how they're being booked. So I feel like this has got the ability to not only, like you said, be a great match going forward, and then some, but also it has the ability to steal the actual match of the night. Could be that 5-star that they're looking for. And I also want to add one thing, because I don't know if you mentioned who you thought was actually going to win this,
Seth.
But Seth, yeah, I want to just take that opinion turn it sideways.
And sink it.
You knew I was going to go there. I shouldn't have given you the delay. Hey, I love the opinion, but here's what I think is going to go down, okay? If you're going to, and I think they should, by the way, because Rollins has proved that he's the fucking man right now, no matter what you think. I don't care what you think because I'm right, and he's the man. And he should be the man to dethrone Brock Lesnar. He has proven it so much in the last, well, I mean, I could say 2 months, but really it's been longer that he's been really dominating this. So I think they should reward him, make him the guy to dethrone Brock Lesnar. But how do you get rid of the IC title off of him? I'll tell you how. You have a returning Dean Ambrose come back on Sunday night and cost Seth Rollins the championship. I think it works. You got to make Dean Ambrose a heel when he comes back, if you ask me. I'd like to see that. Are they going to do it? I don't know. But this way it gives Elias an opportunity to win that title, and I want to see what he's going to do with it. And Ambrose and Rollins can have a little Gargano sort of Ciampa feud for a bit, and then kind of part ways, and then Seth climbs his way up to go beat Brock Lesnar. It's just an idea I had. I don't know if they're going to go that way. I could be wrong. What do you think? Is it a bad idea?
It's not a bad idea. It's just too creative and out of the box for the format of the way things are done in WWE. I do agree with you, though. Dean Ambrose should come back as this major heat heel and actually get involved in something major right away. He was a major player when he fell out of the mix. Let's bring him back in as a major player right away. Sort of like Triple H when he came back from the quad injury.
Right.
Had that hero's welcome, but he was still the heel coming back, and he was thrown right in the mix right away.
Well, it's simple as I like Dean Ambrose. I always really have, but I don't like what they've done with him. I just don't. I think they could do more with him. Let's put it that way. I really think he's got a lot of potential, and I always felt like in the Shield that he was going to be, and we can go back to 2014 and rip up those old archives of Pile Drive Cast, where I said that I thought he was going to actually be, the major player out of the Shield. Boy, until I saw Seth Rollins go against the Wyatt family, I changed my mind quickly. But it didn't defer the fact that I thought that Dean Ambrose has amazing mic skills, and he can be really devious at times, and he's very cynical in how he talks. He's not horrible on the microphone if you give him the right things to say. You don't have to have him like Roddy Piper version 2, but not only Roddy Piper, but Roddy Piper was excellent with screwing with people's minds and stuff. I don't know if Ambrose is just Roddy Piper going when Roddy Piper will go crazy. So he's literally like an escape mental institution, and that takes away from his ability to talk on the microphone, get into the other opponent's head. As a heel, I'm talking. I felt like he did a great job with that in the Shield. Whenever he spoke, he was the only one that I listened to back then, I have to say. So I think if they can go back to that with Dean Ambrose, he's got a bright future. And you could just kind of erase the past and sort of just roll with him from that point on. And then maybe you could turn him face again down the line, but keep that sort of persona and character in him. I think it's a good move. So that being said, I'm going to go with, I hate to say it because I love Rollins. I'm taking a real big, bold prediction here saying that Elias wins the IC title with the returning Dean Ambrose that interferes as a heel. You need some sort of crazy shock factor. Not sure if we're going to see it in the ladder matches. Maybe we will, but we'll get to that in a second. Speaking of surprises, we have Ronda Rousey getting her first ever singles match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship against none other than Nia Jax. So, you have two people on the mic. Doing a build is never a good thing when they're not strong on the mic. This has unfortunately been the recent events between Nia and Ronda. You have Ronda always sitting there doing this fucking look like, well, that's what I do. I don't care about that. Like you're supposed to be a badass woman, and your mannerisms, I don't like them. I just don't like her mannerisms with the yeah, and then a big ass smile. Like, what are you doing? You look like a fucking Pringle can. So I just don't understand this direction. I think that we need to see a little bit more of a fierce Ronda Rousey and not so much like a wannabe cocky joking around. Like, I get it, she's a face, but there's so many faces out there that have had a great run by just being badasses. You can look at Braun Strowman for one. And, you have that rep behind you. I think you could do more with her as far as actually building her character. So this whole thing has been a little bit painful for me. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But I don't know. I guess I expect more out of these two ladies. I think Nia retains. Does Ronda win her first title already, Nate?
Well,
let me know.
To touch base on what you said and how you're tired of the Ronda Rousey this, the tired of Ronda Rousey that, what would have really helped her and put her right ahead of the 8-ball, especially helping with a championship match and coming from a championship pedigree and such a great Hall of Fame career in UFC, and knowing that, like, she's a real badass. She should have went and watched some early Ken Shamrock. And that would have helped her tremendously. Where, it's tough to listen to her on color commentary when she speaks in black and white. That's basically how I feel about it. You know what? When Ken Shamrock was doing that in the early days, he was no nonsense. Go back to '96 when he was the special referee against Brett and Stone Cold. He's always like, look, I'm impartial. I'm here to do my job. Blah, 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 blah. But he was always straightforward. And you notice, like, when he was doing all of this stuff with, like, the corporate ministry and stuff like that, whenever the jokes or whatever, he was always, like, that serious, like, MMA, I will break your arm if you mess with me kind of thing. I think Ronda Rousey is fine-tuned for that.
100%.
$1 million look, $1 million, money maker, but have her be that stone cold killer like the Ken Shamrock, but for the women's division. Like, I don't care if Ronda sits on the headset and goes, I don't care, Sunday I'm tearing your arm off.
I agree.
Like, you get straight to the point. Like, I don't have time for your games. Like, when Nia turns and points at her and she's like, oh, you like that, eh? Oh, you like that. Have Ronda just say something quick, like, let's see how much she talks Sunday.
Exactly. Less is more.
Like, right away. Be colorful, but be blunt.
Less is more. And it's funny that you said Ken Shamrock, because that was the first thing that popped into my mind, and I wish I would have said it out loud, because that's exactly the way I was going to go. It's like you have to take a page out of his arsenal and just let your stuff in the ring do the talking. You can be that badass outside of the ring. You can be the badass inside of the ring. Everybody, there's so many characters that have the goody two-shoes. I'm this, I'm that. Like, you have the Baileys. Right now you have Sasha Banks a little bit. You have Asuka. You have Charlotte that's face right now. Like, there's a lot of components that already cover that particular mold of a face WWE wrestler. You don't have to play that. Be your own. Be your own person. Maybe she doesn't know how to do it, but that's okay. Maybe it'll come with time. But I just can't do it. I don't want to say I'm not taking her serious, but it's just like it doesn't sell me that you're going to destroy her in this match. That's all I'm trying to say. I think she's doing a pretty good job up until now. I do feel like she surprised a lot of people at WrestleMania, including myself. Could it have been the placement of the actual match that made people actually give a shit? Maybe. Because if you put that match on last, do people still have the same reaction? I don't know. I don't know if it would have had the crowd pops as it did. They put it like kind of in the middle there, So you put that on a little bit later on, and maybe we're having a completely different conversation right now. Either way, they did the right move by putting that match where they did. They did the right move with pairing her up in a tag team in the first go. I love it. I think that was important. I I'm still interested to see how this match is going to go, though. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. The problem is that, you know what? It's Ronda's got to get out of her mindset of, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be a part of this. And it's like, come out of the clouds now. It's great. You're here. Now embrace it. Now do your job.
Yeah. You don't have to say it week in, week out. Like, we all know what's going on. Like you said, take your head out of the clouds, get to business now, put on that mean streak, and people are still going to get behind you because you do have a big following, and I'm glad that you do, because if you didn't, this would be a flop. So I think she's got a lot of potential to be better than what she is now. And I'm interested to see where it goes. So it starts this Sunday, and then we'll obviously have an idea of how she does one-on-one in a ring. And she's with a much slower Nia Jax. Hopefully Nia works with her, and hopefully she's not too sloppy, as she has been in the past. I fear a little bit of that. You have an inexperienced wrestler in one corner, and you have another one that she's good. She's very good. Unfortunately, sometimes she could be a little sloppy. So I really hope that this is clean, if you get my drift. I hope that there's no...
I get exactly what you mean, but the problem is that I'm still trying to... How do I say it politely? They're revamping the women's champion on the fly. Like, I'm noticing, like, as the weeks go by, they're billing her and making her look and making her act like, she's Trish Stratus. What happened to the Irresistible Force? What happened to the Monster? Like, I understand that you want that cookie-cutter, blonde-haired champion, but it's like I was big on Nia Jax, like, about 4 months ago, and now I'm just, like, completely, like, walking away from the TV when her segment comes on, because I just find it's so corporate, cookie-cutter, appease the fans visually. It's just odd. It's odd. Like, I know, like, we watch Total Divas, and she's very, like, conscious about her weight and that she's a bigger girl and blah, blah, blah. But Nia Jax is also tall, right? So she wears the size well. Like, she's not an ugly woman. She's a good-looking woman. It's just, it all depends on the guy with his preferential tastes, right? And her job is to be a women's wrestler, not to appease the men. Her job is to be a women's wrestler, to be the fucking monster. That's like run roughshod. How can you let Asuka at 5 foot run roughshod over everyone, but you'll have like this 6'2" like monster, and you don't know what you're getting from week to week? Like, it's just hard for me to buy into it. But I got Nia Jax winning by DQ.
Me too. It brings up the question. That was really well said, by the way. Beautifully touched upon. It brings up the question of, is there going to be outside interference, a la Stephanie McMahon, or perhaps Natalya? Perhaps Natalya is going to turn on Ronda. Perhaps Natalya is siding with Stephanie McMahon, who actually cut a deal with Natalya. You can have fun with this. Is it just me?
Well, you could have fun with it, but the only fun that I see in it is how Natalya falls in and out of a knee injury every few minutes when she's on the TV. She's in the ring, my knee hurts. She goes backstage, knee's okay. Comes back out, knee hurts. It's like,
my brother mentioned that too.
Don't sell it, but make a decision. That's my personal opinion. Like, I watch Karate Kid, and I'm well aware that Daniel LaRusso hops on the wrong leg after he gets his knee snapped by the Cobra Kai guy. But, at least he sells it. He gets up, he limps, and then he wins. All I'm just saying is Natalya can't choose on screen when to sell a knee injury and when to not. You're either hurt or you're not. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I find it interesting because her uncle was one of the best at selling a leg injury. Bret Hart was fantastic at it. This guy could sell it for like an hour. Like, there was times where I was watching his matches where I was like, I think he's really hurt. Man, he was good at that. And I think
he was really hurt though, so that's why he sold it well.
Maybe. But she needs to, like we were talking about with Ronda Rousey taking a page out of Ken Shamrock's book. I think Natalia needs to take a page out of Bret Hart's book when it comes to this stuff. You'd think somebody that's been around the industry for that long wouldn't be making such a small gaffe like it. It's easier for me to say. I mean, I don't do what they do. Oh, wait, I got in the ring once. But still, it's probably a lot harder than, you know, what we're talking about here. But all things aside, this is the big stage. This is the big dog, and you got to get it right. Speaking of big dog, you know where I'm going with this. Roman versus Jinder Maharaja.
Jinder.
So you and me were on X3's Twitter, and it was an unpopular wrestling opinion. And I mentioned the fact that Jinder Mahal should win this match, or at least win the feud with Roman Reigns. I believe you chimed in and agreed with me. Would you like to tell the audience why this is a good idea?
Jinder is the old school heel. And you got to give it a chance. That hatred that you have, there hasn't been a villain like that in WWE in quite a while. And the thing with that is that it's staring at everyone right in the face and they don't see it. And to me, I look at professional wrestling for the talent and the company to make as much money as possible. Like when I predicted that he'd be a future world champion, a lot of people were just like, wow, you're really out there, blah, 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 blah. You know what? I got lucky. He went out, he cut weight, got himself jacked, came back and had like $1 million look and came back with $1 million attitude. And Mr. McMahon saw something in him that said, hey, let's see if this guy can make some money for us. And you know what? I like the fact that he's Indian. I love the fact that you can go over to the other side of the world and, you know, get a kid from like, you know, small town in like India and look at the TV and go, you know what? I could be Jinder one day. Because if you go back a few years prior to that, not everyone can be the big Khali.
No.
And you know what? Like as much as the bad, I don't understand why this guy gets as much hate as he does. Like everyone's, oh, he's sloppy in the ring, he's this and that, and da 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 da. If you stop and you look at the product in the ring, there's maybe 10 out of a roster of 60 that are clean in the ring from bell to bell. So I mean, why don't you rag on the other 50 for being sloppy or whatever? Like everyone has like there's a general WWE style in the ring, and all 60 have it. Some of them can slow it down, some of them speed it up, some of them are hybrid. But you know what? You're not. I don't understand where people come around. Oh, Jinder's sloppy, Jinder's this, Jinder's that, and it's like, you're going out of your way to try to find something that's not really there, yes. And you're making it up.
Yes,
that's my personal opinion. But you know what? I am in agreement with you. For the long term of the company, you know what? Roman Reigns is going to continue to make money for the company, but we're starving for stars to get to that next level so that we can make the cards relevant. So the fans are going to tune in, that we're going to buy tickets and we're going to buy T-shirts. And you know what? This win for Jinder doesn't hurt Roman. It raises Jinder, which is exactly what he needs because of where he's fallen on the card on Raw.
Absolutely.
It's like when he switched over, he said, you know what? You got yourself a former champion on this show. Treat me like one. Well, this is that match where we start treating him like one.
It's great exposure for him. I'm glad he's getting this opportunity because whether there's no title on the line, it doesn't matter. You're in a match with Roman Reigns. It's like it's even better than the one that Rusev had at what the hell was it? No, I forget what title, what pay-per-view it was. Rusev had a match against Roman Reigns, but that one was kind of thrown together. This one actually has a pretty yeah, out of nowhere. and this one actually has a great storyline to it, man. Like It looks like it could go either way. Now, a lot of people are going to say, no, Roman's winning, and that's it. That's all. I don't know, man. Everybody's going to go right. I think I'm going to go left on this one. I think Jinder Mahal wins. Dare I say it, he might even take a Colossus or two. I don't know, man, actually. Roman kicks out of a lot of stuff. He kicks out of a lot of things, big F5s and everything. Can he kick out? I mean, is he really going to take the one Colossus and take that loss? I mean, I feel like there has to be some sort of outside interference from the Singh brother. I don't know. This is a tough one. I think it could go either way, man. As much as I want to see Jinder win, I wouldn't be surprised if he also ate the pin on this one as well. But I like where your head is at, because here's the deal. WWE is constantly giving us these massive 5, 6, 7 superstar matches, right? And a small victory for Jinder Mahal over Roman Reigns, question when it came down to one of those matches going forward, let's say Jinder wins this feud. All of a sudden you have Jinder and Roman in one of those 5 or 6 superstar matches. It raises the question of, instead of just pushing Jinder aside, like, oh, he's just there to be one of the heels, he's a filler heel spot, you can maybe look at it like, okay, he actually has a decent opportunity to win. Not unlike the opportunity he just took at WrestleMania for the US title, right? Like, let's face it, WWE they pushed him, and I think it was a great move that they did, because I found his run enjoyable as an old-fashioned heel. I loved it. And you were right. So kudos to you for calling that, because I don't think anybody else ever did. So here's the deal. Ever since, I'm not going to say he's just been disappearing. He's always been right kind of there. He's not here anymore, but he's like right there. Most guys, when they get, shot down afterwards, they're like, oh, Jinder's kind of stayed right there. And I think that they need to find a way to kind of keep him there, and this is the perfect stage to do it. Roman Reigns has, he's been solid as of late, but it also brings up the question, like, is he gonna win to make up for a couple of his unfortunes that at the fate of Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania, etc. Tough one. This one could go either way. My heart says Jinder Mahal. My head says Roman Reigns. That's just the way it is sometimes. So this one has another ability. I don't know if they're going to close the show with it. I don't think they're going to. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match for WWE Championship. Is this a Chicago street fight? Is that what they called it?
All I've heard it called was the last man standing match.
Okay, so I don't know why I thought Chicago street fight, but
last man standing match.
Oh, he speaks English.
Sorry, no English.
All right, man. So here we go again. AJ and Shinsuke. I'm not as pumped for it as I once was, but I'm not exactly saying that I'm tired of the feud. I don't like it when people say that, because a lot of people are like, well, you got to build feuds. Okay, but here we are doing it, and then you get tired of it after 2 weeks. So what are we going to do instead? Let's talk about what could possibly happen, the benefits of having this match. Is there going to be an actual winner? Or do you think that the winner is actually going to be a superstar that wins the Money in the Bank briefcase that night? Because I can kind of see that happening. I can kind of see whoever wins, insert them into the last man standing match and win. Not necessarily more at the end, you know what I'm saying? So who do you got? I mean, I don't know how you want to do this. You want to pick one? Do you think Shinsuke has a chance here? I mean, this is what, his 5th try? Dude, how many chances is this guy going to get before giving him an actual run?
For the benefit of the company, for the benefit of the run, for the storyline, I'd like to see Shinsuke win here. I got Shinsuke winning here, and I'll tell you why. AJ needs a break. He needs 2-3 weeks at home, away from having the road, the weekends, the title. He just needs to get away from it for a few weeks. He's been running really close in the red, like a lot of dates. He's been making a lot of dates and performing in a lot of matches at a very high level every night. And you know what? It's better to, wind him back a little bit, keep him refreshed, put it on Shinsuke for a little while, have him come back, and then have like a big blow-up match, and that would be the finale. Or at least keep them apart from each other for the time being. But it'd be cool to see Shinsuke win, continue this heel thing that he's doing, and find sneaky ways to, keep avoiding AJ Styles until it culminates and whatever happens.
I like it for two reasons. I like it because I think Shinsuke deserves it now. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it a year ago at SummerSlam. I think that, that could have went either way. It's one of those things, man. It really all depends on if they're actually going to give him the ball and run with it, right? Because AJ's done a phenomenal job, pardon the pun, but he's done a great job. I mean, he has. But I think that it's time, like you said, to give him that break. He's earned it. He did a perfect job, pretty much. I mean, as close to fucking perfect as you can ever get. He's done it. So at the end of the day, Shinsuke winning, I'm okay with that, obviously. I didn't mind my idea where, could be a actual cash-in that takes place later on that night. But I got to tell you, man, there's something special about whoever wins that Money in the Bank briefcase and just always has it. It makes you want to tune into Raw every week. It makes you want to tune into SmackDown every week. It makes you want to watch those pay-per-views because you're on the edge of your seat like, when could it be? When could it be? When could it be? And to give it up right away the night of, I've never been a fan of it. Ever. Never been a fan. So there has to be said. And not to mention the fact, let's say somebody does cash in and then wins the title that night. Well, interesting enough, what would you do with Shinsuke at that point? He'd be in like turmoil hell, like wrestling purgatory, where it's like, oh my God, this guy just turned heel. This is his fifth chance that he didn't win. Yes, okay, some other guy came in and stole it from him, but now the spotlight is completely taken off of Shinsuke. And what do you do with him from that point on? And with Styles, you can't do that. Who gets the rematch? Does he get another rematch and then he loses that one too? Because then the new champion wouldn't get an opportunity. Would have an opportunity to at least run with the title for a bit. Like, oh man, it would just damage his character so much. So I like where your head's at. I'm going to go with Shinsuke winning this one too. We got a new champion for sure for SmackDown going into Tuesday night. I like it. So let's talk about the ladder matches, my friend. We just spoke about, the men's match in a way, the title match with AJ Styles and Shinsuke. So I'd like to kick it off with the men's one. So you have a massive plethora of amazing talent in this match. And it's hard. I mean, maybe not for you. Maybe you already kind of figure out who you think is going to win. I already have my pick with my heart that I've had for the last, 2-3 months, maybe even longer, man. Oh man, it might be almost a full year since I might have said this one. But all right, here's your participants. You have Braun Strowman, the biggest man. You have Finn Balor, kind of the smallest man.
Smallest man.
Yeah. You have The Miz. You have Rusev. You have Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and then you have Big E, Kofi Kingston, or Xavier Woods. Well, I think it's going to be Big E. I don't know if it's been announced yet. If it is, I apologize. So this is the Money in the Bank ladder match for a world championship contract.
Hold on. Big E had the main event for that video game thing that they did against the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega earlier this week. They met up to do that Street Fighter thing. They gave Big E the main event in that match, and Kenny Omega told him, enjoy it as long as you can because it's the only time you'll be in the main event. So, just saying. They joke with each other. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty well done.
Okay, can I stop you there for a minute? Can we just talk really quickly about the fact that I find it super ironic that I video game thing wrapped around Street Fighter. What was my last video? A Street Fighter reference. It was called Theme Fighter, and I used Horyukens and Sonic Booms and everything. And Seth Rollins goes and gives a curb stomp to a guitar. What does that remind you of? Mounties Corner curb stomp for Seth Rollins. Am I right? Am I right? Come on. What the hell?
I think you got to start licensing these creative outlets that you're doing.
Bro.
Next thing you know, we're going to have Velveteen Dream coming out and trying to steal the show in NXT Chicago. Where'd they get that from? Don't think we're not watching WWE. Don't think we're not watching.
We are all over you. So now it's time for you. Just reach out to us, okay? We're free. We're free. Like, we're good for jobs. All right? We forgive you. We forgive you. Just give us some credit, will you? Give us a call. At least text me and say, can I use it? You did it before when you put me on the network twice. So, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, here's what I want to get into. Is Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Big E, hopefully. All right, my friend. We have a couple of people that are not going to win, Bobby Roode. Rusev is a long stretch. Unless they're going to go with like Rusev and Lana winning on Sunday, just I don't know if it's a good idea. I'd love to see Rusev win. I'd love to see him, and I don't want to see him cash in the same night. I think the fans will go crazy for his cash in. However, if he does cash it in and lose, then holy fuck. Come on. Please don't do that to us. If you're going to make the man win, make him go all the way. And it could be on SmackDown or something like that. Cool. We're all right with it. Who do you got, Nate? Who do you got on this one? Who do you like, man? You got a lot of people to pick from.
Yeah, the problem is I don't see Finn Balor coming out with a briefcase every week. I don't see Owens coming out with a briefcase every week, so I just eliminate two more. Highly unlikely that a New Day single member is going to get pushed. The safe pick would be The Miz. My wild card would be Samoa Joe.
Interesting that you didn't say Braun Strowman.
He doesn't need it.
I think you're right.
He'll get his way there. Like, he could run the gauntlet and get there in one night if he wanted to.
Yeah.
They could do a gauntlet match against the whole roster and put Braun in the ring and just have him 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Guess what? I'm the #1 contender. And we'd believe it.
Of course. Of course we would believe it. Gauntlet match that lasted 7 seconds. So, and that's where I was going with too. I'm going with The Miz, 100%. Samoa Joe winning is very interesting, though. Very interesting. But if you're going to go with Shinsuke winning, you're kind of trapped with the heel and heel thing again. But again, it's just a cash in, right?
But Shinsuke and Joe have history going back to NXT, and those matches were awesome.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They were awesome. It's true. I like it.
Miz.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miz again. Outside of the creative box, it goes back to the Dean Ambrose thing. It just it sounds awesome on paper, brother. And if it was our show, this is what we would do. And then maybe one day, if Triple H ever takes over, these are the kind of things he can kind of play with. But until then, I'm going with The Miz. It's a safe pick. He's worked his ass off for this opportunity. No other than Elias getting that opportunity, getting the chance to sort of show that, flaunt your stuff, whatever the case is. So, and I think he would just be the perfect person to just sit in the middle of the ring with the Money in the Bank briefcase when MITB is on. I think it works. And I don't think it go any other way. We've done that one. There's nothing more to talk about because that's how that one's going to go. Let's end it off on the Women's Revolution ladder match, and they didn't call it that, but anyways, Money in the Bank ladder match for the Women's Championship contract. So they made history last year by having the first ever Money in the Bank's ladder match for women, and it happened to be a male that grabbed it. I'm not over it. I will be over it, but they fucked that up. You gotta make it right this year. None of that BS. Obviously, it's not gonna happen. I mean, come on, you know. By the way, if Ellsworth comes back,
it's funny how you said that's not gonna happen. James Ellsworth canceled his international appearance this weekend.
I was just going there. I was gonna say James Ellsworth. Funny enough, I wonder if he will have something to do with the Asuka losing. Interesting if he came back and was in the Carmella's side again. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Call me crazy. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Ember Moon versus Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch versus Natalya versus Lana versus Naomi versus Sasha Banks. Got a lot of chicks in there, man. You got a lot of them in there that probably don't need to be in there, but they're in there for one reason or another, for spots and certain cool moments, if you will. So let's X out the people that don't really need this particular win. I'm gonna start Charlotte. Good one. I'm gonna cross out Naomi.
Yeah.
I don't think she needs it. She won the Battle Royal. She ain't winning this one. So those two people are gone. Alexa Bliss, come on. The last year and a half has been all Alexa Bliss. She's out. Yeah, so let's get rid of her. Ember Moon, she's too new. I don't think she needs it right now. I'm gonna get her out of there. You?
I actually have her winning the match. I think that's the night where they're gonna push another woman to the top, and they're gonna strong arm her like 3 matches, build her, and then one night she's gonna come out, cash in, and booyah, new women's champ. It just fits the mold of Raw if she wins.
I don't hate it. I just don't know if they're gonna do that. It could happen. At the same time, I wouldn't be opposed to her winning another match, whether it be Elimination Chamber, something like that, or maybe a Royal Rumble. I don't know if this is the time to do it with her, but I like where your head's at. That's cool. That's good stuff. I'm going to say it again that I've been saying for a while. I feel like Becky Lynch needs this. I think that she had a good opportunity to win the first one.
I'm not opposed to that at all. She's been floating around that main event area. She's almost like on our phones, hovering around that whole main event thing. And yeah, I could see that. The problem is that here we are 2-3 years later pushing the same 5 girls at every major pay-per-view.
Well, people get mad when it's not the same usual suspects. They get mad if it's not Asuka. They get mad if it's not this person or this person. Where's Bayley and where's Sasha Banks and all this shit? Did I say Sasha Banks? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Sasha Banks is like the 90-time Raw Women's Champion, never won it on a major pay-per-view. And on the other side, you got Charlotte, who's like the 16-time World Women's Champion. Like, that's a lot of title reigns for like a 3-year run when you think about it.
It is. And that's why, like, I am not really in for a Sasha Banks win here. I just don't want to see it. I am not interested. In fact, this is
anyway, so I agree with you.
Fuck that. And I really think that Bayley has the opportunity to really show her true colors on this one and really cost her that title opportunity. But they're probably not going to do it because they just never really talked about it again. It's not done yet, so we'll see. But, you know, you have, other than that, I mean, do you really think they would give Lana this opportunity? I don't know. Do you really think they could do it, Nate?
She's still early in this little push. They just got off the fence of letting her get in the ring and do this thing. I don't see how you give her that opportunity, yet you leave the Iconics and the Riot Squad in the back.
What the fuck? Ruby Riot would have been the perfect fit for this, by the way, but
I'm hearing there's a major push coming for her.
That's right, and I agree with it. By the way, I see we see big things in her, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So this match comes down to, in my opinion, 3 people that really make sense for them to win. Actually, yeah, 3. Ember Moon, like you said, my pick Becky Lynch, or possibly Natalia if you're going to, I think Danny the Phantom said it earlier, and I kind of agree with him. Wins the title, Natalia cashes in on her. It's not horrible. It's not horrible, but again, Natalia in it, winning it, it's just like I just don't know if that's exactly the way you want to go at this given time. Do you really want to put the title on her? I don't know. I think we need a fresh face as the champion at this point. And I really do believe that, like you said, Ember Moon or Becky Lynch. Those are my 2 picks at the end of the day. Now, if the WWE is going to go a different way and somehow incorporate this into the Ronda Nia Jax thing, if they're going to close out the show, or maybe have it.
If they're going to do that, they need to email us and explain it to us, because we are usually right 98% of the time. And I want them to explain our 2%.
At least you didn't say 3%, because if somebody say 3%, that card, my friend, that card. And it's going to be interesting to see if NXT annihilates Money in the Bank. You got 5 matches there that are killers. We won't get really into, in depth as far as like, what we just did with all these matches. But, it would be pretty cool to at least chat about it a little bit, because you got some big time matches happening right here. Undisputed Era versus what's his face, Oni and Danny. I mean, Undisputed Era's got to take that home. Adam Cole's not on the card, like you mentioned before we went on the air. I think it's a mistake with the brand new North American title. That's right, shock the system. But you're shocking me by not putting him in there. So what's up with that? I don't get that, Nate. So here's the deal. Match of the whole weekend is Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. Can we just agree on that?
I agree. That will be NXT's match of the year.
Ooh. Yep. I can't wait for it. Who do you got in that one?
Ricochet.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Dream
Velveteen doesn't lose any steam because he has such a great tenor in NXT. But Ricochet is like the new kid on the block, and you could sort of see that Velveteen is sort of transitioning to go to the main roster. We don't know exactly when that is. I'm predicting somewhere around SummerSlam. Ricochet is going to be the guy that takes Velveteen's spot. This is basically like a passing of the torch for the NXT brand.
You see, the funny part about it, I was having mic problems. Sorry, guys. The funny part about that is I don't think Velveteen is done on the NXT roster. I want to see a lot from this guy. I want to see him be the North American champion at one point. I want to see him actually be the NXT champion. Is that too much to ask? I don't want to see him on the main roster yet. I don't think people will understand him yet. I think it's too early.
You know what the funny thing is about Velveteen Dream is that the character is so damn good it doesn't need a title.
Yes, you are 100% right. But the mark in me, the mark in us, pretty sure we'd be happy seeing it, though. That's all I got to say about that. I'd love to see it. So Gargano versus Ciampa. Okay. These guys can go. Like, can you tell a better story than what you just did? I don't know. I think you kind of should have left that one right over there. How do you do it, buddy?
That's WWE stepping up and just one more match. You know, that's the mentality of this thing. It's the one more match.
It's really not more complicated than that. And that's what happens when you see that kind of stuff happen here and there. Where it's like, oh my God, it did so well. Let's do that again. And that's what they're gonna go. But it's like, oh, this is the Chicago street fight. This is where I got mixed up before with the AJ Styles and Shinsuke match. So this is the Chicago street fight. Okay, so you know they're just gonna destroy themselves more so than others. And where do you go from here after this, man? Who wins? Ciampa. Where do you go from here? What would you do if you were in NXT booking creation? How would you book this match, and where does it go from here?
Somebody's going to interfere in this street fight and give Ciampa the win. And I think that this is like this NXT version of Zayn versus Owens, the Fight Forever thing. So I think that this is this class, or whatever you want to call it, NXT's version of that. And because I feel like you said before, Gargano won this. Like, the story is done.
It's done.
And the only thing that the payoff is, now Gargano got his bravado back, but Ciampa lost his. So how do you give Ciampa something back but not lose Gargano? Well, Gargano's got to be that guy that something. I have a feeling that they're going to introduce a character or something. Something's going to happen that dramatically like turns the tide in NXT. There's a third man involved, and it's not Hulk Hogan joining the NWO.
Careful.
What side is he on? What?
What side is he on? Dude, I think you nailed it. Who would you pick though? Who would you pick to interfere in this match? Maybe a new person? I think it's got to be. Yeah, a new person. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a new person too. Man, there's a possibility, Nate, that we just probably spoiled it all. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but nonetheless, it's still a cool reaction if it does happen, because it's like, oh my God, they actually went with it, you know, and it's special in its own way. So before we get into the last two matches for NXT, a couple of really good comments here. Danny the Phantom had an idea. He says, what if James Ellsworth came back and helped Becky Lynch win the briefcase and turn Becky Lynch heel? Not bad. I mean, I've been saying it for a while. Becky Lynch needs to turn heel. She needs something to go with, and I think she'd be awesome at it. This Irish ass kicker, last kicker, whatever. I think it's a very good opportunity to do it, and it's the perfect stage to do it. It's not bad. Would they do it though? It's kind of
they've completely faded away from her whole steampunk thing.
Yeah.
And it's like we're supposed to completely forget like that was her character. And you know, Danny just brought up a good point here. That would be an interesting idea on how to turn her heel. I agree with you. She should go heel. I think she should have been heel for the longest time, because I felt like she just got lost in the mix over the last 6-8 months, to be perfectly honest.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no other way to sort of mention her run. In the last year, even in the last year, man, like I don't remember anything that she's really done, unfortunately. So you have this little bit of a nostalgia factor with James Ellsworth. It's like, what the hell is he doing here? And then he just helps, and it could work, but it also you could also look at it from a standpoint of like it makes absolutely no sense, but it does, because Carmella was like, "Yo, get out of here! We're not a thing anymore." And then you can kind of, I see what he's doing here. And then you have, if Carmella retains, then you have Ellsworth in the mix. Ellsworth is with Becky now, not with Carmella, but heel and heel again. And then you'd have Shinsuke and Miz on the other side. Oh man, it's
Or you double turn James Ellsworth.
Double turn James Ellsworth. Is Becky on Raw?
No, Becky's on SmackDown. See, we don't even know what brand she's on. Like, that's how
Yeah,
much she's off in the mix. Like, you can't even keep track of where she is.
but that's what I'm saying, and I feel like that was something small you could have did with Becky Lynch that could have actually worked. Is actually make her go on Raw. At least give her a little bit of a fucking breath of fresh air, man. Like, because right now it's just like you've been lying in the same bathwater for the last year. It's not getting better. It's not getting cleaner. Time to get out of it. So, okay, I'm all for it. Whether she wins or not, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Whether she turns heel or not, that's my pick. But at the same time, if the Miz wins, it kind of spaces it out. You have Becky Lynch, the winner of that, and she goes to she's on SmackDown, so she's got that case. And then you have the Miz having it on Raw. So no, the Miz is on Smack. What the hell?
Miz is on SmackDown.
Yeah. Okay, wait, hang on. You can't have both titles on the same brand now. Can you?
Can.
Do you really want to have both briefcases on the same brand?
This is why I said that there should be 3 briefcases with 10 people in the match.
Yes.
1 for Raw, 1 for SmackDown, and 1 allows you to flip to either show and cash in.
10 people in one match with 3 briefcases. And they're all hanging up at the same time?
Yeah. You got 3 hooks. You get to choose which one you climb and grab. So if you're fed up of being on Raw, you'll grab the SmackDown one. If the SmackDown one's already taken and you still want off of Raw, you go up and grab the white one or whatever the color it is. It creates a little diversity. It throws more in the mix.
Yes.
One forces you to stay on the brand, and the other 2 give you the option to stay or go.
And one, you're kind of like a hybrid. I like it.
I like it too. But people are going to say, oh, too many briefcases, blah, blah, blah. Tell me that when people are walking around with them for 9-10 months at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And half the time, even when there is like 1 or 2, they get rid of them within like a month, or in some cases within a day.
Or you get to create a storyline with the versatile one, the one that allows you to go to either brand. You carry it on your respective brand, saying, you know what, I can cash in at any time. You know, if the GM's pissing them off, whatever, you're like, you know what, I don't need to take this anymore. I got my ticket to go over to the other brand. And you walk out. Or that one, in case somebody gets injured while they're champion, you can have them come in that night as a shocker, cash in, and become the champ of that show. There's so much flexibility you could do with that.
Yeah, and no, it's another example of what we were just saying. Not only is it important to hang on to these briefcases, but if you add that extra little wild card in the mix, like the wild card briefcase, you could even call it that. That would be pretty cool. It makes you want to tune into Raw and SmackDown, because then you just don't know where they're going to cash into.
I'm just trying to get ratings.
Beautifully done. So in about 2 or 3, I say about a year from now, after they're done listening to our ideas, we'll see a third briefcase, a second and third one, I should say. Would you do it for Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I was having some technical difficulties here. Hopefully, Nate can join us back in a couple of seconds. So, Nate, sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties there. Are you there?
I just rejoined. Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Sorry about that, sports fans. You know how it is sometimes. Technology happens, and there we are. So, it's one of those things. But I like the idea, Nate. At the end of the day, they could play with this a little bit more. I even flirted with the idea that you could have, a tag team one, or maybe even like an intercontinental championship Money in the Bank. But then people are like trying to say it's overkill. So I just kind of stayed away from the whole topic. But I did think that it could be interesting, at least for the bigger titles, to have that opportunity to do it. But I guess you don't want to water it down either, right? So, but I like the three briefcase idea. I think that's very smart. How did you come up with that?
Actually, I fell off a ladder at work, and I had an epiphany, and I realized that I would have not fallen off the ladder had I been holding on the shelf.
Well then, at least we got the full story. Unbelievable. So what you're saying is, who are you going to cash in at work then? You're on the ladder. You grabbed it. So who are you going to cash it in on?
It's still new. There's no way I came. I wasn't even close to the briefcase. They tipped the ladder on me. I'm new. I got to make myself. So yeah.
You gotta earn your stripes first, kid.
Exactly.
You got to keep at it. I believe in you. I think that one day you can grab that brass ring, Nate. And I think that's it for tonight, guys. Sorry to cut you guys off like that before. I hated it to end it on a crap note, so we got set back up real quick.
The women's match and the men's NXT match.
Oh yeah, wait, hang on a second. You're right. Shayna Baszler. How the fuck do you say her name? Baszler. Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross. Okay.
The NXT version of what Ronda Rousey should be on the main roster, but Ronda Rousey isn't watching the product.
Yeah, correct.
I got Baszler winning. Thank you.
Same here. Nikki Cross is a very good wrestler. I don't really see, I didn't see the appeal, I guess, in bringing her to the main roster with Sanity. Didn't make sense for me, at least, to do it. She can have her time in NXT. They need her down in NXT right now. It's kind of similar to the Big Cass and Enzo thing where you have, Carmella just kind of chill down there, and look what it did for her. It helped her a lot. She made a name for herself. Nikki Cross already has made a name for herself, but this is just going to maximize it even more. I think she puts up a good fight, but I don't think that she's enough to take down Shayna at this point after Shayna just won in NXT New Orleans. So with that said, it's probably going to be a hopefully a good match. Different contrasts of styles, of course, but should be entertaining none the least. I'll be watching for sure. And last but not least, and I don't think they should end it on this match as much as I like Aleister Black. And I know
Velveteen is closing the show.
Which one?
Ricochet and Velveteen has to close the show.
It's not. It's totally gonna be Gargano and Ciampa, man. Probably. You don't think so?
You're probably right because they have a hard-on for those two.
Yes.
And we've only seen it as the main event on NXT takeovers for like the last 90 times.
I said 3, but I was rounding down. So we have those two guys. I don't know. I mean, Aleister Black following up a Gargano and Ciampa match. Forget it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. But it is the NXT title, so hard one here, my friend. But okay, Aleister Black, is he ready to come up on the big stage?
No, he still has a hell of a run there. He's got at least 4 to 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. So Lars Sullivan comes up short. Somehow, some way, he doesn't win.
Mm-hmm. Lars is there, but Lars is also another talent. That's a guy that doesn't need a title at this point.
That's a guy that they could bring up from this.
Absolutely.
So he loses and he gets called up probably within the next few months because they need another big man there, right? That's what I think.
He comes out at Money in the Bank as Miz's bodyguard and climbs the ladder and throws the briefcase over to Miz, and Miz becomes the Money in the Bank winner for 2018.
Unless he comes out with, you know, some sort of like cut sleeve sort of suit like Deacon Batista or Bull Buchanan.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? You can see it, right?
White shirt, black tie.
Hell yeah, man. He's already got the haircut. Oh, God. Oh, God. I knew it would come back to haunt me. Aleister Black retains. And, okay, which one are you looking more forward to, NXT or Money in the Bank?
NXT.
Man, but I love Money in the Bank.
They just didn't build it for me. If I looked at the last 4 episodes of NXT television on the WWE Network, and I compare it to the last 4 weeks of Raw and SmackDown, they did a better job with 4 hours of television than they did with 20 hours of television.
Well, the 1 hour time slot is key, right? You don't have to put all of your talent stuffed into one show. And that's the cool part, because you're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't see who I wanted to see this week, but maybe I saw a little snippet of him backstage or something like that. You kind of get a little bit of the taste. And sometimes you just don't see him at all. And that's okay, because you're like, oh, well, you know, there's so much other fucking cool shit on NXT that, all right, I'll see him next week and I'm going to be more excited when I see him, right?
Are we forgetting something? WWE owns a network. You can expose it as much as you want. You don't need the national channels of 5 hours of television to sell your pay-per-view. Use your damn network.
Wow.
You could bring cameras. You know what? There's certain shows that Ring of Honor does. I'm not comparing the production value because WWE is the elite. Ring of Honor will go over to England and film their show and broadcast it on their online network for fans to see, and that they pay the $9.99 a month. What the hell is stopping WWE from doing the same thing? You can build the storylines through house shows.
Yes.
You have the network. You're not paying for the TV. You've already subscribed to the network. It's all in your production costs.
Bro, I gotta tell you one thing. That is a genius. And not only that, it would totally expand their market share and drive that market for NXT to start touring the world more into the house shows, get exposed more, and throw them more on TV, forcing people to go to these things more because they're like, hey, look, I'm on the network. Hey, those are my seats, whatever, right? You're getting televised, you're getting TV, quote unquote TV network time, if you want to call it. That's a fucking good idea, man. I never thought of that, doing that. I mean, that's actually a moneymaker. So and it helps your product.
When you think about the schedule, you go either Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, depending on how you are on the roster. So out of the 5 house shows, if you put a camera in the arena for, say, 2 of those 5, that's an extra 3 hours that you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's exclusive to people who subscribe to the WWE Network. You know what? I'm interested in what happens at a live show.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't need the huge raw backdrop. I don't need, top of the line HD. I would love to see it shot on, a decent camera. You know what? A lot of us fans, we're indie fans too. So we've seen, the mediocrity to the elite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So somewhere in between, they can get away with it. We will watch.
Absolutely. Sometimes things on a smaller scale, I find it sometimes even more interesting. I find myself getting a lot more behind NXT than I have for actual, you know, Raw or SmackDown pay-per-views, I get more excited about them because I just enjoy the environment and how they book stuff. I enjoy the build-ups. I enjoy the 1 hour time slot, but I also feel like they can get even more bang for their buck because their roster is expanding on NXT a little bit. And I feel like there's certain guys that also, guys and girls that should get that particular time that they just don't need, because it's unfortunate at times that as much as I love NXT, it's like shit. You have so much talent over there sometimes, and it's like, and you can only give 10 people an actual chance to shine for a 3 hour pay-per-view. It's unfortunate, man, sometimes, you know, but at the same time, it brings a lot of value because the matches are stretched out, you know, they're like 20 minutes each or whatever. So you really get to showcase what you're doing. I mean, let's face it, if it wasn't for NXT, you know, I mean, you know, CN, like I don't know if I would be that excited about him being called up, but man, it made him. And did it ever make him, especially in the last two that he's been performing in? The last two NXT pay-per-views, he's been outstanding. I wasn't a massive fan of the guy. I thought he was interesting, but I wasn't a massive mark for him. And now I really respect him. I'm like, fuck, he's really good. Like really good.
I would.
You know?
I'm still hoping and crossing my fingers, and I know I'm going to take heat for this.
Del Rio?
Him and Del Rio in a tag team.
Yeah.
So arrogant, so cocky.
It'd be good.
Oh.
It would be amazing.
I tell you,
Selena's there, man.
On SmackDown, and they put them in a tag team. They owe us. They owe us big.
I feel like we should patent this. Can we patent a tweet? Can we do like a little copyright, like emoji or something like that? We are gonna look into this starting right now because that is fucking key. And I knew exactly where you're going with that. I was like, oh, he's going to go with Del Rio. He's got to go with Del Rio. It makes sense. They both have towels, scarves, or something like that. I mean, you know, white scarves with their fucking gelled back hair. It's a good look. Trust me. I rock it well. We'll see what happens. Guys, we're going to wrap this one up here. Nate, I want to say it's an absolute pleasure to have you on Outside Interference on Mounties Corner. Man, you got to find a way. We gotta get me on your channel or something. This doesn't have to be just exclusive to Mounties Corner. This is worldwide. And I didn't fall off my chair. This is a good start. So Titus is about to have a great weekend too. Thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate your time.
It's always a pleasure to be here. I think our collaborations are always diamonds in the rough. I always look forward to them. I look forward to having them continue. And I also want to say quickly, we had quite a nice turnout in the chat. Some people were watching. I'm really appreciative for that. That was really cool to do that on a Friday night.
Absolutely, man. I wish I would have got to a lot more of the actual people's comments and whatnot, but honestly, a lot of people are thinking the way we do, so that's why they're smart fans. There's some great ideas in the box. Trust me, guys, we pay attention to what's going on in the box. You guys are killing it. Be on the lookout, fellows. We got some really good stuff coming out soon. Me and Nate are going to be very soon this summer doing one, maybe even two skits if everything kind of goes really well. For sure, we're doing one. It's going to be a Braun Strowman skit, and we're going to be working on it together. And you guys don't want to miss it for sure. In the interim, you might want to watch out for these podcasts that we're going to bust out here and there. Hopefully do it a little bit more frequently. But always a fucking fun time, you know, having you on, Nate. Your wrestling wisdom is just mind-blowing at times. And I know myself, and I can speak for probably my subscribers too, we appreciate it. So keep it coming, dude. Enjoy the pay-per-views this weekend. And I am the Mountie, and I always get my views. Rip 'em.